Good morning, and Happy New Year. I'm excited about our first practice of the new year together. Thanks for joining me on Zoom, you guys, and everybody here at FLC. We are diving into some strap stretching, which we have not, some of which we've not done together for a very long time. And I just always find it such a useful support and reference point. I know in the beginning of kind of learning yoga, I kind of eschewed any kinds of props, blocks and straps, thinking, oh, well, I should try not to need them. And in fact, it can be the opposite, that even if you've got a really strong practice, you've got a fluid and strong body, a strap can actually take you then somewhere that you hadn't gotten in all those years. So it can be like kind of an elevation or a depth, which can be really lovely. We're going to be doing two major things with it today. The stuff we're doing with the legs, you definitely want something non-stretchy. I've got a classic, yoga kind of canvas belt. You could just use a neck scarf or something as long as it's long enough for you and doesn't stretch. For the arm stuff, you can use a strap like this, but I actually often at home will use a thera-band with a little bit of stretch, because it can just allow you, without having to make these micro adjustments on your hand, with your hand along the strap, to find just that perfect amount of give and also where it's holding you, kind of push me, pull you, which can be really nice. So to your ability, have those handy, and let's see what happens. Yeah, again, Happy New Year, 2024. I just want to share that I'm not so much making resolutions for the year as just an intention around how I'd like the pacing and the energy to feel. I realize if there's any one thing that I could shift that would then change everything else, it's finding improved pacing. I feel like I've gotten better. I'm better at this age than I was at 30 or whatever. But finding more spaciousness, and that really reminds me of our yogic breath, that pacing of the breath wave, of being patient and present enough to not rush to the next active part of the breath, the inhale, the exhale. So if that appeals to you in general, as kind of a life concept of the pacing of things, making everything just more luscious and more restful, even when you're being a doer, our yogic breath on the mat is, I think, the #1 first place to get that pattern going. I think the second place, and I'll offer this in case it just appeals to anybody, is the calendar. I actually have a real paper calendar too, but that I realize what is critical is that I protect space, breath, that pause, so that things aren't too jammed up against one another. And again, something I've been working on, but I'm going at it with renewed focus and vigor this year. So that's what I'm up to. Let's find our yogic breath. I'm going to have your strap handy. I'm going to have us just come down to the back body and settle in a moment. I think a part of feeling balanced in our doerness in life is getting good at softening the doer, at fully relaxing. So as you come into your corpse pose, start just exploring what areas, if any, are in holding, anticipating the next thing, or maybe just a holdover of tension from however much you've been trying to get done at the end of 2023. Let's come into a few sighing breaths to release the nervous system into ease. Long, slow inhale through the nose. And soft release through the mouth. We'll do a few more like that. And asking of the breath, is there more? Staying present with that slow, deep inhalation, noticing where it stretches, touches you. Our last practice, I was really inviting focus on bringing the breath into the back body, as well as the side and the front. See if on this final sighing breath, you can feel that inhale more circularly. than ever. And then we'll come into our points of attention or introversion. So third eye, gazing up behind the center of the forehead, lightly connecting the tip of the tongue at the roof of the mouth. This says, I'm awake, present in my body, in my practice. And a softening throughout the rest of the tongue, mouth, and jaw that says, I'm non-striving. I'm not trying to get anywhere. I'm not trying to push anything forward. Just this moment, this body, this breath. We'll come now into a few rounds of compression and expansion breathing. So again, still in corpse pose. You guys look great. On your next exhale, slowly, firmly drawing the abdominal wall towards the spine, then down towards the floor. Asking, is there more breath that I can compress out? You can even talk to your low belly muscles by using your hands to kind of wake them up. When there's absolutely nothing left, soften and allow yourself to be breathed by that generous inhale, flowing in. Asking, is there more? At the very top of the breath, I hope it's like a bucket overflowing and you find that breath filling you somewhere new. We'll do a few more rounds just like that, deeply mentally tethered to the breath and sensation. Reminder, you can add your ujjayi, great sounding breath, so contracting the throat just a little bit so that the breath passes through, making the sound of wind in the trees or ocean waves. We're going to do a few of these compression expansion breaths with some arm movement. So the next time you're inhaling, you'll sweep the arms overhead. And I hope you'll notice that that breath does fill you in kind of a different way in this shape. And on your exhale, creating rock pose with or without a sit-up. So hands tightening into fists, arms into the sides, shoulder head sliding down, butt cheeks activated, thighs, feet. Maybe that little sit-up motion. Being deeply curious about the breath. Is there more? Where is it touching you? Can you breathe deeply, but also in a relaxed way? And where you're not taking on unnecessary tension in the eyebrows or the jaw. The next time you are reaching arms overhead, hold there and just please organically stretch with me, rolling wrists and ankles, and maybe you end up yawning, fake or real. I find often a fake yawn will turn into a real one. It feels so good. All right, now we're gonna bring the right knee into the belly for release wind pose. No wings, no shrugs, elbows in, shoulders down. And you might just gently move that knee a little right and left, or circle it. And then we'll inhale and straighten the leg to the sky. And just notice what that's like. We're going to be doing some of this with a strap and you'll get to compare. But just notice the level of tension in the back of that leg. Before you exhale, root the belly and back and then slowly descend that leg towards the floor, melting completely once you arrive. And we'll bring the left knee into the belly. I've had people say they're, afraid to soften and melt because they're afraid they'll never be able to kind of get back on again. And I'm like, if you got so relaxed that you tuned me out for 10 minutes and didn't move, actually, that'd be a pretty great practice. So let it go. And wiggling that knee, getting circling it, just noticing what's there in the hip joint. And then as you're ready, extending the leg, nice long inhale. Make sure the low back is rooted completely before you take that leg into its slow descent. Neck remains soft and melting with gravity. So go ahead and grab your strap now, and we're going to wrap it across the arch of the right foot. And there are a lot of different ways to do this and to find your right edge. Some of the principal things is number one, that back is rooted and the neck is soft, shoulders are down. After that, it's kind of playing around. I'm gonna just have one hand on each end of the strap for the moment, and I'm gonna explore flexing my heels towards the ceiling. I'm also, by the way, flexing my left heel away towards the wall. But I'm gonna just gently apply pressure as if I wanted to pull my toes a little forward, or actually back, I guess, towards my forehead. I'm just doing a little pulsing, and I'd love to notice, where is that stretch showing up? If it's behind the knee, we need to make an adjustment, and usually just bending the knee more will solve that. We'd love to feel it in the belly of the hamstring, really deep into that back of the leg. Yeah. And again, just pulsing and breathing is so powerful. And then finding what you think is your edge. It's a place there's intensity, but you can meet it with breath. It feels like a good massage. And we'll take 3 thoughtful breaths into that edge. You might notice how the very upper end of the inhale takes you to a level of stretch that you weren't at before. It's the power of the breath. One more. And then just bend that knee. You can keep the strap there because we'll be straightening again, but just give it a little moment of release. Then as you're ready, we'll come up to straight, or again, slightly bent knee if that's better for you. I'm gonna take my right hand on both ends of the strap, and I'm gonna bring my left arm out onto the floor, palm down in a very kind of active T. I'm gonna stay very active and rooted through my left side of the body as I begin to take my right leg to the right. And I wanna do it slowly so that I can adjust and keep moving my hand towards the foot on the strap as needed, so that the strap is coming more up towards the back right corner of the mat and less out and down towards the bottom corner, right? Obviously, it's gonna depend on your flexibility, but I don't want you to feel like you're kind of holding a heavy leg way out in the distance. You're drawing it towards you, even as you're letting it move towards the right. What do you think? You guys finding something good there? Yeah, good. Maybe a new inner thigh, hip groin stretch. Love it. Again, let's apply breath. If you've got the ability to hold here for a couple more, please do. I know it can be a fair bit of work on that holding arm. If your leg is low enough, you can kind of land your elbow on the floor. Okay, and then to come back up to center again, I'm going to invite you to just release and bend the knee. Keep the strap on the foot. Come back to center. Aha. Straightening again whenever you're ready. And I'm going to take the straps in the left hand, right arm out 90. And I'm going to ask you very intentionally at first to only move the foot and leg a little to the left. I'm literally just crossing it to the center line or across the center line. I'm hoping this brings you into a noticeable sensation in the outside of that right leg, IT band area. If you don't feel you need your right arm on the floor, or you can even explore with your hand, get to know that area, like, wow, where is that most hot or stingy sensation? Again, if it's pulling at the knee, you might want to bend a little bit. I want you to feel it above the knee and up. And you can do any little pulsing that you'd like. And then if it feels appropriate and safe in your body, we can take it into a spinal twist to the left. Make sure you're really activated through the whole left side. And I'm rooting through my right arm as I slowly cross that leg further across the body. Once again, I'm going to prop my elbow, this time my left elbow, to just make it a little more comfortable for me. You might not be that low, or maybe you don't even need that propping because your foot's gone all the way to the floor or something. You might gaze out behind over that back arm and bring a couple of really deep breaths in here. The breath tells the body, I'm listening and present, it's safe. I'm not blasting past the edge, I'm not forcing anything. Always let the inhales take space, and on the exhale, I hope you just feel that beautiful softening into a deeper space. Once again, inviting you to bend the knee, to come back to center, and whenever you're ready, you'll release the strap, release the leg to the floor, and observe. Notice the two sides of the body, sensation, circulation. When you feel ready to move, we'll take the strap across the left arch. And you know where we're going, so cool thing, you don't have to rush to get there. Take your time. And initially, I'm just gonna have one hand on each strap, and I'm gonna play with that extension through the left heel. What we know is that the hamstring feels more permission to relax, which is what we're trying to do here in part, when the quadricep, the front of the thigh of that leg, is fired up. So you could think about kind of pressing your thigh muscle towards the bone. That might help. You could also take your hand there for physical touch. When we place our touch, we raise our awareness in that area. Is this side different? A different level of stretch, a different location? You know, some stretches can feel hot and some can feel deeper, kind of cold and achy, right? They can have such different flavors and personalities. Let's find that best edge and apply 3 more breaths. If you want just a little extra stretch, you could try raising your hands a little on the strap towards the foot so you have a little more weight. I'm hoping you felt that your stretch has grown and evolved over even just those last few breaths. And then we'll just bend the knee, give the hamstrings and everybody a little break. And if there's any other, counter movement you're craving, go for it. We'll straighten the leg again. I'm going to take my left hand to the straps, right arm out into a T, palm down, and making sure the right shoulder is anchored down the body. I'm going to also anchor through the whole right side of the body, so that as I'm slowly exploring taking the left leg to the outside, I'm staying connected through my back and butt and right thigh. Again, you might need to shorten up the strap or slide the hand closer up to the foot to maintain that sense of the foot coming towards you, up towards the kind of left corner of the mat versus down towards the bottom corner. Is this side different? What are you experiencing? Again, you can play with kind of pulsing, bending the knee a little bit more, and then pressing through the heel, working it towards straight. It doesn't have to be straight. One more big breath, send it way down into the hips. And then relaxing the left knee. Give it a little break before you once again extend up straight to the sky. Right hand comes to the straps, left arm rooting and out to the left, and initially just crossing the left leg to the right of the center line. Exploring how much is the right amount of pressing through your heel, the leg straight or bent. It's one of the things I appreciate about yoga is that there is actually so much discernment that is available. And when we apply that, it really changes our practice and our bodies over time. Are you ready to make that journey further to the right for a little bit of a spinal twist, but also a deeper stretch through that whole IT band hip area? And exploring what is the right length for the strap for you to get a good stretch. Please make sure that your wrist isn't cocked, etc. You always want the hand moving towards the foot as needed so that the arm stays long. I don't mean not bent, I just mean not cocked and kind of quirky. Let's send one more very thorough breath down into that hip and IT band area, get to know it. If this is just still feeling amazing, and you're like, I don't want to come out, great. Otherwise, as you're ready, bend the knee, come back to center, release the strap, and let the legs relax into corpse pose, or even a wide version of that. And let's come into abdominal pumping. Inhaling slow, deep, and wide as if it's all you'd ever do. Exhaling, hold the breath out and begin your pumping, drawing firmly down towards the mat and then pushing towards the sky. This is a wonderful massage, not just for our digestive organs, but also all of our internal organs and detoxification organs, even down into the deep psoas muscle, sometimes referred to as the fight or flight muscle, because we are stretching and pulling that whole internal space. Yeah, so you might do 2 or 3 rounds there before we move into our bridge pose. So we're gonna then plant our feet flat beneath the knees, work the shoulder heads in underneath the body a little bit so that that cervical spine is lovely and away from the floor before raising the hips into your bridge. And you know, it does not matter how high you are in bridge. You know, how it looks or what have you. There's no goal other than to really feel that you're engaging deeply through the back line and that you're allowing that front line a new level of both activity and stretch. So I sometimes kind of dip my hips and then refire the glutes upward, imagining a block between the thighs. Until you are complete. We're going to come into happy baby. And this is another pose that sometimes adding a strap can be marvelous. So even if you know you can grab your ankles, if you've never done it with the strap, I encourage you to try it. If you are able to clasp your big toes or the blades of the feet and have the shoulders anchored, then you're probably going to enjoy it more without the strap. That's my sort of general guideline. But again, you're walking those hands as high up the strap as you need to then enjoy the weight of the arms, adding to the stretch, allowing the knees to come closer towards the floor, tilting the tailbone towards the floor, checking that the neck remains soft. And let's send one more big breath down into the hips. And I'm going to bring the soles of the feet together, bringing both ends of the strap together. I can actually use that to draw the feet towards the butt, but also bring them towards the chest. And you, again, if you can reach your feet without the strap and without shrugging, comfortably do that. Feel free to just go strap free. You can also do that nice windshield wipering, one of my favorite moves, just bringing one foot a little towards the head and then the other. You might allow it to kind of rock you organically side to side. Yeah, and then we're going to come into our pigeon, reclined pigeon. But if you prefer classic pigeon, go for it. I'm going to cross my right ankle onto my left thigh, raise my left foot, clasp the right knee tightly towards the chest. Say hello to it with a big breath.
And then explore taking it a little towards the center line. Again, it doesn't take much usually to bring us into some wonderful stretches into the piriformis. You might even feel it also through hamstring and IT band and so on. If you get inspired in any little organic movements or placements, go for it. Like sometimes I'll take my left hand, in this case, to the foot. So I've got right hand on the knee, left hand on the foot, and I can kind of use that to globally move a little left and right and find a subtle angle. And I like, upon releasing, giving that right knee, in this case, a nice kind of bend and kick, just to release and balance out all those connections around the knee joint. And we'll cross left ankle onto right thigh, bringing right foot up to the air, if that's okay in your body. If not, you can leave it on the floor. Hug the left knee, send it a little towards the center line, and greet it with breath. Yeah, you guys look great. I love it when I see people doing, again, those little organic versions that mean you're listening inward, making the pose your own for today, right? You might be doing it differently than you've ever done it. Your own time, releasing, perhaps doing that kicked, bend and straighten, bend and straighten. Then we're gonna come on up to our hands and knees. So as you're ready, table pose, intelligent hands, inhaling, drawing the heart forward, exhaling and tucking the tailbone. So we move into cow-cat this way with breath initiating. And it can be a really different way of doing this pose if you don't usually wait for the breath to take you. Notice how different this can be, that at that very end of the inhale, my hope is you'll actually get an amazing stretch through maybe those intercostals, maybe up into the clavicle space. The next time you are in cat back, please hold. And if you would, look out over your right shoulder and behind you. You can do a little wag if it feels good, kind of letting your ribs go left. And then we'll switch. A lot of what we experience, go ahead and back and forth again, in neck and shoulder tension has so much to do with all the connections down through the ribs and the upper back. So these stretches can be so key to finding more just ease in those areas. Let's come into half puppy. So I'm gonna just bend my elbows as if I was gonna kiss the earth. And then once I'm low, I'll take one hand forward, extended, active, and then slowly lower the head to the mat if you can. If you can't, you could rest it on a block. You could also stay suspended. And I've done that, and that extra bit of kind of body weight and gravity can sometimes bring you an enhanced stretch. You can also kind of move a little left and right in this pose. So if I sort of let my head roll towards my right temple and I send my shoulder a little right, I can get something quite lovely. This is assuming you have your right arm forward. I don't think I specified. Maybe I did. I don't know. And to switch, please tuck the tailbone into your cat back. That way we come back into table without like using that same shoulder we were stretching. Once again, bending the elbows, extending the other hand straight forward. And please note, I stay on my, in this case, right hand. So my left arm is extended forward, palm flat, arm straight. Ideally, you don't even have your forearm on the floor if you can get that active of a reach. But I keep my other hand on the floor right where it was. And I find, I played with this the other day. I tried it both ways. I was like, it is different. So for me, having that hand on the floor and I've got my elbow up off the floor. So I'm still active, like I'm like in a low push-up. If you've never tried it that way, please do. hopefully you can see on Zoom what I'm doing, but instead of having that forearm to the floor, I've got the hand on the floor only. And yeah, exactly. I just find it gets me a deeper stretch. It allows me to make more thoughtful adjustments as we go. All right, from there, whenever you're ready, all the time in the world, maybe another cow cat, moving to your downward facing dog. So send those hips up, use that powerful center body. Yeah, got it. Can you release some of the weight that's in your hands by using that center body, belly to spine, to direct the hips up and back? You might even be able to like lift one hand off the floor. That's a great way to kind of test it. Like, yeah, I am stable, nothing's collapsing, feels good. Beautiful. Invitation to do some spinal pumping. You could return to cow cat, or you could come right here into upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Make sure if you're doing that, that those thighs are squeezing towards each other, that the thigh bones are powering towards the ceiling. Yeah, man, you guys are making this look so graceful and strong and easy at the same time. I love it. It's because you're using all the right stuff, really getting those elbows straight. Then we'll walk the hands back to the feet, ending up in ragdoll, one of my favorite poses. Take all the time you like in ragdoll. You're letting your head hang with gravity. You could be taking those hips side to side. Yeah, when we rotate a little bit in ragdoll, there's an opportunity to guide that stretch again into that same outer leg IT band area that we were playing with earlier. Yeah. When you're ready to come up, find a nice breath-filled journey. Maybe extending up to the heavens. We'll be doing a bunch of that with our strap eventually. So when you feel ready, again, this is a practice where you could use a thera-band or something stretchy if you wanted. Otherwise, we've got our nice kind of canvas belts, or maybe you've got a scarf at home. And first, we're just going to take a comfortable stance. So for me, that usually is feet a little wider than mountain, that I'm not trying to have them right below my hip bones. And initially, I'm just going to have my hands on the strap, shoulders down, nice core anchoring. Make sure you're not arching, and we want to keep no arch. As you just slowly take those arms up, and I want you to move slowly enough you can notice changes in sensation of the shoulder joint. And you can observe, would it be better if my hands were a little further apart, a little closer together? What's a place where I feel a certain amount of stretch, but also effort with no neck kind of compensation? Are your elbows straight? If you're not sure, kind of bend the elbows and then kind of fist bump the ceiling. Like, woohoo, yeah. And then let's apply a couple deep breaths, which I hope will come out into your ribs and waist. You might explore bringing your hands a little further back along the ceiling. Again, without anything dramatic that makes your ribs jut forward. And then come slowly back down, keeping those arms straight, working through the fists. And then just relaxing. Yeah, and it's funny, we all instinctively, all of us here in the room started doing neck circles. It's like you get this sense that both those muscles were being worked, but also there's now an opportunity for them to release. And you are right. So we're gonna go again. Again, nice strong pressure pressing through the fists, straight arms, inhaling up. Again, please find that comfortable version, your shoulder blades sliding down into your back pockets. And then we're going to go ever so slightly left and right. Really little movement, just a little left. All right. We're going to just explore that for the moment, and then we'll end up holding and breathing into it. And I really want this to feel sustainable, that no part of you is like kind of shaking and surviving. All right, the next time you are to one side, doesn't matter which, hold, make sure you're kind of fist bumping the ceiling, and take a deep breath. You can always rotate your head, by the way, to create ease, look at the floor, whatever you want. Keep reaching tall as you come back up through center to the other side. Big breath in those ribs. And reaching long as you come up. And this time we're going to release behind us. And so ever so slowly, I'm going to again keep in my core. I'm going to let my hands continue to come apart so that I can keep my arms straight, elbows straight. But don't go too fast because I want you to keep some tension on the strap where you feel kind of a good stretch as you slowly let those arms come down behind you. And you can drop the strap to go into Yoga Mudra, intertwining the fingers, palms facing each other, or you can use the strap. You can also take the legs wide if you end up wanting to add a fold here. But I find the key movement is getting the elbows straight and then pulsing the hands away from the butt and returning. If you can't really get that kind of arm straight action or that away from the butt, that's where you want to add a little space between the hands. So sometimes, even though I can do it without the strap, adding just a little bit of space on the strap can give me more freedom and where I get that beautiful motion around the shoulder blade. Just a wonderful opportunity for release. Yeah, you can move your head a little bit, deep breath. And releasing, we're gonna come into a counter stretch, keep the strap handy, but we're gonna bring the arms around for our thread the needle. So I'm crossing my right arm in front, left hand at about the elbow, curious and noticing and finding that just right angle, so I sometimes like tilting a little down towards the hand, playing with my head alignment, always applying the breath. At some point, completion, letting it go up and away, maybe circling. Crossing left arm, right elbow. Is this side different? And maybe you're tilting down a little bit. And slowly releasing, maybe circling, noticing. Love it. How'd that feel? Good, 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 good. We're going to be doing some standing work, adding the strap in a more dynamic way. So these were some nice slow held stretches. And I hope you were able to notice like the difference between, oh, that's just the right spot, or, ooh, my neck is getting tight. Because I want to make sure that we're taking that awareness into these next activities. So we're going to stand at the front of the mat, nice mountain stance, feet parallel. And I've got my hands on the strap. They can be as wide as I want them to be to keep the neck from being irritated. And so we're going to be doing a combination of just raising the strap and lunging. All right. So when you're ready, nice core support, we're going to inhale, step the right leg back into a lunge and raise the arms up. I'm keeping my right knee bent because that's what's feeling great. You could have it straight, and exhaling, returning. Left. And you get the idea here. So I want you to really tune into your breath. It's inhaling, step back and sweep up. Is there more? Exhaling, belly to spine. Return, mountain. Nice connection, tip of the tongue, roof of the mouth. Ujjayi. You could be doing small little lunges. You can be going big and deep and trying to come back all in one movement. So we're going to do a couple more rounds each side to your breath. I've been listening to a lot of really slow jazz lately.
And one of the things that I love about jazz is the amount of space between the notes. And if you started with the right leg back, like I did, make sure you finish with left. Lovely. And then option here to do this standing, or if you're loving lunging, do it with more lunging, okay? We're gonna take the arms up like we have been, and then we're gonna rotate. I'm gonna rotate first to the right, and I'm gonna let those arms spread, just sliding slowly. I'm gonna stop at the point where I feel like my arms are straight, but there's still some tension on the strap. You got it. And then I'm gonna inhale back to center, and exhale, returning right. You can do that a couple of times. You don't actually have to marry this with breath. If you want to do a faster movement, that's all good too. Lovely, back to center. Okay, I'm gonna just hang my strap so I can get a decent hold on it again. Inhale out. Find more length than you thought you had through your ribs, through your armpits, before exhaling left and slowly letting those hands make their journey. I should have mentioned as well, ideally, if you can look behind you, it's such a beautiful spinal rotation, keeping both feet rooted, whether you're in your mountain or your lunge, staying very active through the legs as you make your journey back to center and returning left. And coming back to center, releasing the strap. I'm going to let my strap go. And we're going to come into just a little kind of nice counter work, I think, that should feel good after all that gripping, some nerve flossing. So I don't know if you guys have done this with me recently, but man, it can feel good. Hands in prayer, and we'd love to have our forearms in a nice straight line. You got it. And we're just simply going to take it to the right and to the left, ever so slowly. I kind of pause myself at that kind of furthest right and furthest left position, and I notice that I can feel the stretching up into those sort of tennis elbow, golf elbow, quilter's elbow. We've got a lot of quilters and knitters here in the room too, so it's a theme today. Creatives unite. You guys have a quilters retreat coming up?
Thursday through Sunday down in Townsville.
Thursday through Sunday in Townsville. Fun.
So much fun.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about those retreats.
Been getting together for 20 years.
Wow.
And people who've been far away are coming.
Exciting.
From Portland.
Retreats are so amazing when you just give so much attention in a focused time, you know, whatever it is you're giving that attention to, it's just powerful. You know, you think of it, it's the antithesis of our regular lives, most of us, where we're moving from thing to thing to thing, you know.
And the permission not to quilt.
Permission not to quilt. Oh, I love that. Excellent. All right, we're going to do another nerve flossing. It's like you're holding a tray of drinks and then you're dropping the tray of drinks, and you can see I'm keeping my hand flexed and down. Yeah. When we're doing any of this work, it's really important that the shoulders are staying relaxed and down, that we're not doing any kind of hyper shrug. We'll do about maybe 5 or 6 more on this side. Occasionally I share this with somebody who's like, I don't really feel anything, but the majority of the time, people are like, oh yeah, wow. Whether it's in the palm, feel it in the palm, fingertips, elbow, forearm, armpit, like all the
wrist I broke and it's different.
I'm feeling it in the one wrist that you broke. Yep, makes total sense. When you think about, I'm gonna go to the other side, when you think about nerve fibers and you know how little they are, but also how little the spaces are that they pass through. You know, it does not take much inflammation or irritation to have the nerve feel it and be affected.
and watching breath. We are breath watchers as yogis. When it feels complete, we're gonna take it into downward facing dog and some little bit of flow stuff. So notice what you're needing, obviously add on, delete. Let's inhale, sweep out and up, nice and slow. Enjoy those strong and free shoulders. Is there more? Inhale. Exhale and fold. Inhaling, extend halfway up. Hello, hamstrings. Exhaling, stepping back to your downward facing dog. Let's pedal it out. Really exploring that deeper back line as we work one heel at a time towards the floor. I'm hoping you can feel that you're connecting with the whole line through your plantar fascia, up into your Achilles tendon, calf, hams, and even into the butt and hips here. Let's spend a full breath with both heels working towards the floor, deep attention inward. And inhaling, coming into your version of plank. I always recommend knees down for the first plank of the day. Exhaling, chaturanga, elbows bend, maybe just an inch, or maybe you're able to do a slow, controlled descent. Eventually landing on the floor, pelvis anchoring for cobra pose. And exhaling, pressing back, either child's pose or downward facing dog. What is your body craving? Invite us in gate pose. I feel like having at least one really good balance challenge in a yoga practice is just what makes it complete. And I love gate pose. I think side balancing poses are the most challenging. They're so strange. They're a good rewrite for our brain. So we're going to start off with core support, and I'm going to check by clapping my hands and table. And that's how I can see, oh yeah, I'm in my core. I'm going to step back with my left foot and place it 90 degrees to the other one. So sole of the foot completely anchored. I'm going to like push in. I'm going to experiment, like squish something under my foot. Then squeezing my right butt cheek towards the left edge of the mat. That encourages my body to open into the gate pose. Check if your hip is behind your knee, if it's out to the right, you are going to lack stability. So see if you can squeeze your right butt cheek a little more towards that left edge of the mat. You can always look down, by the way, wherever your head wants to be. Maybe you're ready to extend that left arm to the ceiling. Maybe you want to extend it out beyond your head, exploring a beautiful long line. One of the things that I love about this kind of lateral stretch is I actually feel it all the way into my psoas on those deep connection points around the hip joint. See what you get. Is there more? Is there more breath? Is there more arm straightening? Is there more rooting through that back foot? And when you feel complete, we'll release and explore the other side. All right. If your wrists ever bother you, you can try and do on fists or fingertips. It just makes the balancing harder, but it can be easier on the wrists. Let's take the right leg back, 90-degree placement of the foot. Glute squeeze through that left butt cheek until it's just the most natural thing in the world for that right hand to come off the floor. I like bringing it to the hip initially, getting my shoulders stacked, and then raising it to the ceiling. You can look up, down, to the side. You can reach up, you can reach out behind your head again in that beautiful lateral stretch. If you're lifting your left ribs up into the right, that's going to enhance that stretch even more. And as you are complete, inviting you to release, we're going to come into our quadricep stretch, so belly to floor. If you prefer a standing version or model, go for it. So I found it really helps to place the forearm, right forearm across the front. That will allow me, as I engage my glutes, to kind of raise my chest in a little cobra back so that I can reach that left ankle without flailing. You know, less flailing is good, right? More grace. Shoulder heads anchoring. And then you could set your forehead down onto the forearm and hang out with the stretch. As you engage the glutes down and you bring your knee in towards the center line and you breathe, my hope is you'll feel an ever-evolving stretch through that front leg and even into the hip flexors. Keep exploring that. You might kind of pretend that you're pointing behind you with your knee. And when you are ready, release. Sometimes people enjoy a counter stretch or activation. So releasing your leg to the floor, curl your foot under and flex your thigh to the sky. And see if that just feels nice. And as you're ready, moving to the other side. Left forearm across. Glutes anchor as I raise my cobra back. Clasping the right ankle. And then returning forehead to the forearm. Is this side different? Really tuning in, directing the breath, directing the stretch to some subtle depth. Isn't it amazing the worlds we have within us? Yeah. And as you release, you might again create that counter stretch or activation of curling the toes under and pressing your thigh bone to the sky. When that's complete, just relax thoroughly. Maybe you turn your head to one side. And as you breathe, scan the body. Please notice what you've cultivated thus far with your practice today. We've done a lot of really kind of unusual stretches and movements. From here, we're going to come into forearm plank. One of my favorite strengthening postures, in part because it does not require any wrist stuff. It's usually pretty easy on the neck. And if you do it on knees for sure, it's usually pretty easy on people's low backs. So it's like really low stress on the body, but we get to activate the majority of it and we get to practice breathing and finding the space between the notes. So as you're ready, shoulder heads activate down. You might tuck the tailbone as you raise the hips up into your either knee down forearm plank or onto the feet, whichever you are preferring today. If you're on your feet, please remember the importance of squeezing the thighs towards each other and thigh bones towards the sky. If you're on your knees and it feels okay to do so, just relax the knee. Squeeze a little more right there. Beautiful. Beautiful. Wow, you guys look so strong and graceful. You may have already decided to come out. Once you do, again, invite the body in a state of total softening. Yeah, some folks are moving to child's pose. That can be perfect after that. Child's pose is one of our, I think, best resting poses. It just speaks to our nervous system in a wonderful way. It says, relax, be here now. I'm going to invite us in one more round of forearm plank. If you're craving, more flow, you're wishing we were doing more dog series or something in today's practice, by all means, take some time and go there. I know you all know how to do that. Excuse me. If you're doing the forearm plank, I'm going to invite you to do little add-ons or explore your edge. So it might mean that you're just lifting one leg off the floor in forearm plank. If you do that, make sure you're not getting like a big hip dump or what have you. It should see exactly as it was before you raised the foot. But what you'll feel is some really interesting kind of transverse abdominis activation. It can be really fun to try and breathe into. When you are complete, once again, moving into whatever shape calls to you. If you're going to your belly, you might windshield wiper the legs. Just notice. And then please notice if there are any additional stretches or movements that you're craving. We're going to be moving into some seated breath work. You don't have to be seated. You could do this laying down. Again, you could be seated, on an ottoman or something like that. Otherwise, having a bolster or something can be marvelous. You could be cross-legged. You could also have one or both legs out in a straddle. The key piece is that we want to be beautifully upright through the spine. So you should feel those sits bones, those two bony guys at the base of the butt, and the ability to kind of rise up from there. And we're going to be playing with breath and with mantra. There's a mantra called, it's Sat, S-A-T, but it's pronounced like soot, kind of more like foot almost, or Sut, like butt, kind of somewhere in there. Nam, and N-A-M, but like mom. And it kind of translates to like, I am truth, and I'm truthfully me, and I am like this. So it's kind of a lot of these Sanskrit mantras are very much about kind of one way or another affirming wholeness, affirming integration, affirming connectivity. So, you can frankly think whatever you want or put kind of a word that really, or a phrase that really appeals to you right now at this time. The cool thing about Sanskrit is that they call it a vibrational language, and that the idea is that you actually get the feeling of the words, even if you didn't know them at all. So even if no one was saying these words mean this, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of cool. The thing I find challenging is that usually this is taught, like in the Kundalini classes that I've been to and so on, it's always taught, we're doing it out loud, and you are breathing in during the soot, like no. I find it extremely difficult and tension building and distracting. I always feel like I'm about to cough, like I'm just like, it's not for me useful for becoming present moment. So I'm going to recommend that we actually do it silently. And then you could practice it at home as well if you would like. But otherwise, on the inhale, you are thinking the kind of sut. And on the exhale, nam. And that's how, again, I've heard it done, is the sut is quite quick, and nam. And ideally, after you get through the first few rounds where you're kind of like, am I doing it right, blah, 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 it becomes quite meditative. If for any reason you're wanting to let the mantra go and just do breath watching, feel free to do that. I'm going to invite you to add that vision up into the third eye point. Softening through the face muscles, the neck. Check that while we are engaged in focus, that we're not striving. It's from a relaxed, curious, warm space. As you're ready, inhale and exhaling, sut, nam.
Notice if your mind wanders away from breath or mantra, simply call it back. Do this 100 times. Scan your body and notice if you've lost your root and rise, if you can reinvigorate that for a few more breath rounds. So I invite you to scan your body and energy. Notice, how has it felt to be in mantra and breath for a few minutes? Nice. So staying still, just relaxed and introverted, we're going to add a couple of little tension reliefs for the cranium, first with eyes. So we're going to have the eyes open and we're going to take them all the way to the right, all the way to the left. We'll go back and forth slowly like that. And I find it really interesting to observe subtle shifts in tension in my scalp and cranium as I'm working the eyes. I can't assume that everybody feels that, but I definitely do, especially going one direction. Then as you're ready, I'm going to invite you to do full circles. So clockwise and counterclockwise. You can go a few ways, one direction, then switch. These would actually be great exercises. Thinking about all you people who do quilting and highly visual focused work. It would be wonderful to pause and do these kinds of exercises for your eyes. We're going to then move into the jaw stretching, which can really help release through the occipital ridge area. I call them the I've got muscles. So if you're not loving the position you're in, you can do it standing, laying down, anything else. Otherwise, right here sitting, if you want to add arms, inhaling up, exhaling, make those lion claws and open the jaw wide. And as we continue, you can play with different tongue positions. You can be sticking the tongue out. You can draw it back and down, like someone's using a tongue depressor. And I can feel that release through the lymph glands and all kinds of that interior stuff that we can't necessarily always touch, but we can activate, circulate through these movements. When you feel complete, close, swallow, and I'll invite you to come into a little bit of massage, bringing your hands right onto the head here and circling those thumbs right under the occipital ridge and then right up and over. There's this little valley that gets really sore spots. There are a lot of attachment points there all the way down to the upper back. So again, any of us, we're doing anything where we're dropping our head forward, man, that line gets tight and sore. So I'll sometimes help take it, in fact, into the shortened position by holding my head and then dropping it back into my hands. And then I'll take it a little side to side from there as well. And if you want to finish off with just a fantastic scalp rub, whatever would feel good, temples, earlobes, you name it. And then I'll invite you to close with one of two restorative poses, either the block under the sacral triangle or the block or a rolled up blanket along the bra strap. And I know you guys are familiar with both, so you might just be able to kind of think, yeah, what's my body most need today? A reminder that this should feel good. We are seeking the So if you go, for example, to recline and your head is kind of hanging from the floor, off of the floor, or you're getting a deep compression through the back of the neck, then you want to tuck something under the head. Anybody want me to run anything to them? Please speak up. Of course, whatever shape you've chosen, please bring breath to it. Breath is that beautiful change agent, the massage from the inside. Breath is really the primary thing that can speak immediately to our nervous system. So particularly if if your 2023 involved any prolonged periods of stress, thinking about really massaging your nervous system and helping it find a new steady space would be great. And breath is, like I said, the number one tool that can help get us there. If you're in a very comfortable position and you want to stay there for the next few minutes for your yogic sleep, please do. Otherwise, rolling to one side to come off the block under the bra strap, or bending the knees to lift the hips off the block under the sacral triangle, adding on a layer, getting comfy before we turn inward for our little yogic rest. Yoga meaning to yoke together, bring together, and bind together body, mind, spirit. So it's a wholeness practice. So as you turn your gaze up and in once more, do so with that sort of reverence that you're looking inward at all those parts of you. And that with your yoga practice, you have created more wholeness. And now we'll just integrate all that before we move out into the world. Perhaps you find yourself craving more sighing breath, or you need to do some organic movements with the neck. Any inspiration that comes from your body, please listen. With each exhale, sinking more deeply with gravity, down, down, and down. Please become lightly aware of my voice, inviting you to turn to deeper breaths and begin the transition towards the day that's waiting for you. Is there any particular energy with which you'd like to re-enter the flow of life? Is there anything in particular that your body is requesting or needing for greater wholeness? It's one of the great gifts of coming to the yoga mat, that hitting pause, that spaciousness where we can even hear the messages from the body or from our heart. Thank you all so much for joining me at the mat today. It's great to kick off a new year of yoga with you. I look forward to exploring in the darkness of winter more yoga practice. It'll be awesome. Many blessings. Om Shanti Shanti. Om peace. Peace. Namaste. Thanks for being here.